Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Money Mindset. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Money Mindset. Good evening, everyone. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're okay now. So please share this live. We have some good information on tonight. Good evening. Good evening. I'm seeing some YouTubers come on. Good evening, YouTube. Please share this live. Hope you all had a wonderful day. We're going to be bringing on our guests shortly. We are in week three of Money Mindset. If you haven't watched the first two, there's so much information that you are missing. So please go back to our There's Hope Outreach Facebook page or our YouTube channel and make sure you see those first and second series. They were excellent, really good. So we're in our week three of our Money Mindset seminar. Our guests are waiting backstage. We're going to come on and continue. Hello, Mr. Herring. That's my hubby. He's on with us tonight. Hope everyone can hear me well. Starting to see some Facebook viewers come on. Welcome, Facebook. Welcome. So happy to have you all on tonight. Please share this live. This is the information you don't want to miss. Information that we all have to go through one day. You don't want to miss this information. Again, if you have questions on tonight, please put them in the chat, and our presenter will try to answer them as best as he can. So please share. I'm going to be bringing them on very soon, in about 30 seconds. Giving you time to share. I'm a little sharing myself, actually. Okay, y'all, we're almost there. We're almost there. Good evening, Dennis Troy. How are you? Hey, good evening. Okay, we have some viewers coming on. So happy you came back for week three, and for our first time viewers, go back and watch week 1, week 2. We're missing a lot of good information, so make sure you go watch. So we're going to be bringing our presenters on now. Okay, so we're going to be bringing our presenters on now. And first we have the one and the only Miss Afia Brown, Jean-Pierre, which we're going to bring her on stage. Hello, Miss Afia Brown, Jean-Pierre.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, good to see you tonight. Good to see you tonight. And we also have the one and only Mr. Ed Sanchez.
Yes.
Good evening, people. Good evening, folks.
Yes. So it is so good to have you guys back on tonight. We are in week 3, and we have really learned so much. And I am not going to, y'all know how I do. I turn it right over to y'all. So I'm going to turn this over to Afia. Just a little about you again. Just we have new timers on tonight. Give us a little about you, and then we're going to introduce our awesome presenter on tonight. So, guys, take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. First, before I go on, I would like to say to Kervin and the family, the Heron family, and loved ones and friends of Miss Margaret. Happy heavenly birthday to Miss Margaret. If I could speak on behalf of my family, she's been nothing but wonderful to us from day one. And she was always beautiful, kind, and a warm-hearted soul to us. So I wanted to and needed to put that out there. So here we go. So I want to say greetings to Shirley, to Shirley's team, to There Is Hope Ministry. You know, I always got to come with a little something, and today's no different. Today's no different. Today's no different.
Only Afia.
Now, what's the purpose of that? We all work hard for our money, right? And so it's time to know, how can our money work hard for us? Yes. So my name is Afia Brown John Pierre, and my husband Aaron John Pierre. We've been working in the financial industry service business for a while now, and been learning and growing and learning, as I like to say. Shirley, this is our third session. Yes, this is our third session. Awesome. And thank you to the reoccurring friends and to the new friends and the curious friends. Like, well, what are y'all doing? What y'all doing here? What y'all talk about? You're at the right place, because we're about money mindset. Yes. And we're about financial literacy. Right. And so these things are important for us to know and to learn and to pass on to the future generation. Yes. So it's very important for us to, and thank you for being here once again. Right. And so we're here. Why? To accommodate you. Right. You have your questions. You're concerned about how to go about certain things. So we're here to help you out as best we can in that manner, right? What we do here on this platform is that we want to empower you with good financial information. And you're getting that information for free. Free 99! Free 99! So that's awesome. We love it. That is awesome. So we covered, for the last couple of sessions, we have covered so many topics, right? And you must, and you should, go see the replays, right? Contact me, contact Shirley, and we have no problem sending you the replays so you can review it and you can learn from those as well. And send them to your friends, right? Don't keep all that good information to yourself, right? Send them to your friends as well, right? We've talked about financial house, strengthening your financial house, Roth IRAs, income protection, rule of 72. Who knew about that? You knew, you found out if you was in the previous session, right? And paying yourself first, most definitely. And a whole bunch of, well, as I like to say, a plethora of topics and information, right? So how do we learn these things, right? Who are we blessed with, right, to teach us this empowering information and to bestow upon us this wonderful knowledge? no other than Ed Sanchez, let me tell you, right? So get ready. Get ready for more dynamite financial literacy information. Get ready for that. What do we always say, Shirley? Have your pen, have your pads, right? Because you're going to have questions. Yes, yes, yeah, yes. You're going to have questions going to be popping in your mind. And so you're going to need to jot that down immediately, right? So you do not forget, because we're here for it. We're here for it. So, no, without further ado, let me introduce to you the man with the financial plan. Woo! You like that? I like that. I gotta say it again. Hold up. The man with the financial plan, Ed Sanchez. Take it away, Ed. Oops. Take it away, Ed.
Okay, ladies, thank you. Thank you for the energy. When we first talked, I thought this was going to be one session, and they've convinced me to continue. And actually, it's been, a lot of questions have come up, and we want to bring value. Okay, there's other things that you could be doing. You could be watching TV or something else, but I promise you that this information that we're sharing can change your life financially, as it's done to me and many others. So I'm very respectful of your time, and these are some serious things, right? Because we don't want to be financial statistics. We see that the things are happening in the economy, good and bad, and we need to stay informed, okay, with our plan. Okay, I think we're at the point now where we know we can't rely on the government or some of these financial companies. We have to get our own knowledge, okay, so we can move forward. So it's been the pattern where we usually go over a subject, and then the second week we kind of recap on a couple of questions that we got after we signed off, and we'll do that, and we're gonna, we will continue to bring you as much value as we can. All right. So before we get started and review, just a couple of things, right? April 15th is quickly approaching. Most of you who probably get a tax return did your taxes early. Those of us who have to pay, usually we do our taxes late because we're not really in a rush to give Uncle Sam his money. But those of you who get a refund, and just remember that if you're getting a refund, it means that you pay too much taxes. Okay, the government is not giving you anything. Okay, they're just giving you back what they took. Now, and I know a lot of people, like, they put zero deductions so they can get something back. It's kind of a forced savings, and if you have to do that, that's fine. Okay, but if you're getting $4,000 or $5,000 a year in your tax return, and it's spent before you even get the check, maybe you might want to restructure it and take some of it during the year and put it in a retirement plan. And it's best that at the end of the year, you don't get a tax refund, but the $4,000 is in your Roth IRA. So it's something to consider. Okay. So the government is not giving us any money. They're just sending us back what we overpaid. Okay. So here's quickly 3 quick things that you shouldn't do with your tax return. Okay. Impulse buying, ignoring debt, and not saving for emergencies, right? Usually what happens is as soon as your tax person tells you what that refund is, all of a sudden you start seeing things at that same. So, it's amazing how if your tax guy says, oh, you're getting back a $4,000 return, all of a sudden you see something on sale for $4,000, or you think about, you think about, buying something that you really didn't need. So be careful with that. Ignoring debt is a big mistake. If you're getting a tax refund and you got credit card debt out there, 22, 29%, use that money. Okay. You're automatically getting a 29% rate of return if you eliminate those credit cards. Okay. And not saving for emergencies. If you don't have an emergency fund, if you don't have a couple of months of bills saved up in a separate account, then you should definitely take advantage of that tax return and put it into an emergency fund. Now, none of that sounds exciting. None of that sounds fun, but years from now, you'll thank yourself for doing that, because I think we all agree that we can use a little bit of discipline. Okay, so I'm not here to necessarily tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Okay, because we're talking about some serious stuff. Okay, and some of this information you're going to say, "Wow, if I only knew it 20 years ago, if I only knew it before." But you know what? You're learning it now, and you could share it with your nieces and your children. One of the things that I've always done is try to have people in my family that are a lot younger not make the same mistakes that I did financially. So we need to do that, because emergencies will happen. Okay, and if you don't have the emergency fund, then you got to resort to those pretty things. They keep making them prettier and easier to use. Now it's a chip, it's a chip. Now you don't even have to run it through. You just tap it, boom, and you just tap it, boom, and your money's gone. Where before they had to call. Remember, I'm old enough where people actually had to call and see if you had the money in there, and that was like the slow 1 minute waiting for that approval to come over the phone. For those of you who are my age, okay, but now it's boom, in seconds your money is gone, the transactions happen. Okay, so let's do a few reviews on what we talked about last week. We talked a lot about life insurance, different types of life insurance. We were able to answer some questions, and then we got a little bit after, but just a couple of things that as we spoke about. One is children as beneficiaries, and when I in particular, minor children. Okay, when obviously a lot of times when we purchase life insurance is because God forbid something happens to us, we want our children to be taken care of. Okay, but naming them as beneficiary is not necessarily the best thing. For example, obviously, if I somebody's 40 years old and they have young kids and they put them as beneficiaries, God forbid one of them passes away, the money will go to the children. Okay, but if the children are minors, the money will go into an account for them, and they won't have access to that money until they're adults. So just bear that in mind. If you're okay with that, then that's fine. But sometimes rethink about it. I've run into situations where somebody passed away, and the children were the beneficiaries. They were minors. The money went to the minors. It went into an account, but there was no money for the funeral. There was no money to take care of the kids because the kids couldn't, act on their own behalf. Okay, so bear that in mind. Some people, what they do is they. I'll mention a specific case. I was with a client. It was about maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Single mom. She had minor children, and she wanted to do the kids as beneficiaries. So I asked her, God forbid something happens to you, who would you want to handle your funeral? Who would you want to take care of your kids? And she said, well, my sister. I says, well, if the money goes to the kids when they're minors, she's not going to be able to have access to that money. So we changed things around a little bit, where the minor children were beneficiaries, but not for all the money. So she left some money to her sister to handle certain things for her. Okay, and then use some of the money to take care of the children, and then some of it was still in there for when the kids became adults. So I think you get the gist of it. Okay, another thing to consider is most life insurance policies are assignable. So if you have a life insurance policy, you should verify with the company if it's assignable. And what that means is that whoever the beneficiary is can assign some of those proceeds to the funeral home if the money is needed right away. And I'll use an example. Okay, so someone passes away. Let's just say there's no money on hand for the funeral. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Okay. So in most cases, they feel they got to delay the funeral a couple of weeks until, you know, the money comes in. They got to get the death certificate. There's a lot of things that happen. Okay. If the policy is assignable, the funeral home can call the life insurance company, confirm that the policy is in effect, confirm who the beneficiary is, and whoever the beneficiary is can assign part of that money. So this way, the funeral home knows that their money is secure and they could go on with the funeral on a timely basis. So let's just say somebody had a $100,000 policy and who the son was the beneficiary or the spouse was the beneficiary. They confirm that the policy is in effect. They call the insurance company. The funeral home says, well, listen, the funeral expenses are going to be $15,000. That beneficiary can sign an assignment letter, which goes to the insurance company. So using that example, they would send $85,000 to the beneficiary and $15,000 to the funeral home. And things could go as planned, and there doesn't have to be a delay. So one of the things to bear in mind is find out is your policy assignable. In most cases there are, some cases they're not. So it's worth you checking out. Another thing to also consider is that proceeds from a life insurance policy are not taxable. Okay. So whoever receives money as the beneficiary, though that money is not taxable. Obviously, if you take that money and invest it, the growth would be taxable, but not that. So let's just say you were the beneficiary, was $100,000. You get that money tax free. You can invest it. If it grows to $110,000, the $10,000 is taxable unless you have it in a tax deferred plan. Okay. But that initial amount is not taxable. Now, proceeds from retirement plans are taxable, okay? Because if you have a 401k or you know, you had never paid taxes on that, so that would be taxable. Now, if it's a spouse, like, you know, God forbid, your spouse passes away, you could roll over that 401k to your own and not pay taxes. You know, you could roll it over to your name and then defer it, and then you don't have to pay taxes till you actually do that. So spouses can roll over the IRA of another spouse should they pass away. Okay, children, it works a little different. Okay, children, you can't roll it over to a child if the child. So I recently had a 401k where my client passed away. The son was the beneficiary. We can't roll it over because he's not a spouse, but we opened up what's called an inheritance IRA, and that money was moved to the son's name in an inheritance IRA, but they have 10 years to liquidate that account. Okay, so they have to liquidate it, but at least they get 10 years to do that. So we're going to do some stuff strategy wise where the income tax impact won't be as much. We're going to start moving some of that money into a Roth IRA. So at the end of the 10 years, that money has to be out of that inheritance account and into his own account. But there's different strategies to do that that we can get. If anybody has a specific question about that, we can handle. So those are some of the things that I just wanted to follow up with before. Okay, what I strongly recommend is if you have beneficiaries on your policies or your IRAs, you also have the opportunity to assign a contingent beneficiary. Okay, and now just so you know, on a primary beneficiary, it could be multiple. It doesn't have to be one. You could have multiple primary beneficiaries. Okay, then you also have contingent. So let's just say let's just say, for example, a husband and wife, they want to be the primary beneficiaries of their policies, and then they could list the children as contingent. What that means, God forbid, the husband, they could be on a trip, and what happens if the husband and the wife passes away, it goes down to the contingent. Okay, because if you don't have contingent beneficiaries and the primary beneficiary is not alive when you pass away, then it goes into probate. Then it becomes complicated. Okay, so putting a contingent beneficiary, okay, can avoid some headaches in the future. Just so you know, the contingent beneficiary only gets the money if no primary beneficiaries are alive. So in the case where maybe there's 3 children that are a beneficiary, and maybe one of the children had passed away, then that portion doesn't go to a contingent. It goes to the other living primary beneficiaries. I hope I didn't make that too complicated. We can always follow up. But okay, so you can have multiple primaries, multiple contingents. The only time contingent beneficiaries get money is if none of the primary beneficiaries are alive at the time that passed away. Okay, so I think that kind of covers the follow-up minors, wills. Okay, the best way to avoid any problems is get a will. And maybe one of the futures, just so you know, some of you might be getting a little tired of listening to me, but we're going to add some other people on the lineup. We're going to have somebody that's going to talk about taxes, and we're going to have another person who's a real estate agent that'll talk to you, about, purchasing a home or for the first time. Okay. One of the last question I think we got from the last one. Let me just read it here. Do's and don'ts on buying your first home. That's a whole nother class. But what I strongly suggest is, if at all possible, especially if you're doing a conventional loan, try to get it with 20%. Okay. If you get it less than 20%, you're probably going to end up paying the MPI, which is the PMI. I'm sorry, which is it, and all that does it protects, the mortgage company. It doesn't protect you. So it's usually around $75 a month for every 100,000 that you borrow. So it can be. So if at all possible, if you're doing conventional, try to have at least 20%. Okay. And if for some reason you don't, you got to keep track of when your equity becomes 20%. Okay. So you could remind the bank, hey, listen, I'm at the 20%, equity now. So you need to take that PMI out. Okay. I think they passed a law where they give the bank a certain amount of time. Okay. So, if you give a bank a certain amount of time, if you give them 6 months, chances are they're going to wait till the 6th month to do it. So you got to keep track of that, because that's going to save you some money on a monthly basis. Okay. So I just want to echo what Shirley and Afia said. I strongly recommend that you go back because, we're kind of doing a sequence. So we always talk about, we're trying to bring value. So we're trying to talk about different things. So if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. But I suggest you go to, the first session, then just try to do them in sequential, because there's a sequence to it, and it probably will help you a little better. Okay. So today really, I didn't want to really talk too much about a financial product, but I think it's just as important that you have a plan. So I really want to talk about a mindset, about a plan, because a lot of these things are good, but what happens is that without a plan, you're not gonna be as effective as you are, because we know, like the average person, right? You have a 401k with your job, right? You have mortgage with another company. Chances are your mortgage company probably referred you to somebody to do your homeowner's insurance, right? Then you probably have life insurance, right? Then you might have a loan, you might have a CD. So right now you might be dealing with 7 different financial institutions. I promise you that they're not getting together and say, hey, you know what? Let's all meet Friday and let's discuss Afia's plan. They're not. You know, you got a question about your mortgage. Okay, so now, and what happens is they don't even know. You follow? They don't even know what you have outside of them. So they have no idea what your plan is. They just know that you borrowed $400,000 from them, and we're going to work on how long it's going to take you to pay, right? So your 401k company is not calling your mortgage company. Your mortgage company is not calling your bank. So the only person that's going to be able to tie that stuff together is you, or you getting a financial planner. Does that make sense? So if you want to get financially fit, okay, first you got to get in the gym. And if you really are serious, you got to get a trainer, right? Because you could be in the gym and you could be just doing all the exercises the wrong way, right? But okay, so I think I might have used him as an example before, right? LeBron James spends $1 million on his body, between his personal trainer and his chefs and everything that has to do with him staying fit. It cost him $1 million a year, but that $1 million investment that he makes on himself pays him hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, so we need to take some sort of responsibility on ourselves. Okay, and we use the example about, you know, when's the last time you got a financial report card? And some of you haven't gotten one in a long time. Some of you might have never gotten one. So let's just talk about that for a couple minutes. Okay, so let's go to the first slide, where is that? I believe the top of it says people don't plan to fail. Right? You've heard this before. People don't plan to fail. They fail to plan, right? Nobody retires okay by accident, right? We plan vacations. We plan weddings. We plan parties. We plan we plan family reunions. We plan a lot of stuff. It's time to get a financial plan, okay? So I strongly recommend a financial plan. You see a picture of a phone there, and it's like a GPS, right? If most of you would like to go, right? Most of you would like to retire, right? So retirement is a location that most of you haven't been there before, right? So whenever I have to go somewhere where I've never been before, I pick up my phone and I say, where am I going to? So if I'm going to go see Afia, what's your address? And I put it on the GPS, and then the GPS is going to tell me, okay, it's 32 minutes away. Okay, so now I know it's 32 minutes away, and then it's going to tell me to, you know, go over the 3rd Avenue Bridge, take 87 North, right? So the same thing, right? If you're planning on retirement, you got to say, hey, I want to retire at 67. Where are you? I'm at 40 years old. Okay, let's put in some numbers, right? Because now the good thing, the phone, okay, knows where I'm at. So that's easy. But on the financial plan, it doesn't know where you're at. You got to tell it where you're at. Remember, back in the day, you used to have to put where you're at and where you're going. Now it picks up by satellite, all right? But when it comes to finances, it doesn't know where you're at. Let's go to the next slide for a second. Okay, this is kind of a snapshot. Okay, this is a sample financial needs analysis. There's a bunch of pages. Okay, but this is like the report card page. Okay, this is the where you at. Okay, so I'm gonna read it. It's small on the screen, but I'm gonna read it. You know, this is a sample of a family. Okay, their monthly income is $6,200. Okay, And what we did is we sat down with them and we took all the information. Okay, what's your mortgage? How much do you pay for this? How much do you pay for that? So after we put all this stuff in the computer, similar to like when you go do your taxes, you got to bring your W-2s, your 1099s, you know, any IRA things that you did if you bought and purchased something. Okay, similar. You need, you know, somebody needs to do that, and they do what's called data gathering. Okay, so when we gather all the data and we put it in a computer, okay, and the same way tax people have the software, we have the software to do this, okay, and it breaks it down. So in this particular case, right, $6,400. Most of the time people don't really, they have an idea, but they don't know exactly where the $6,400 go to. So we help you find out where is it going, right? So in this particular case, right, $502 a month was going towards insurance, car insurance, homeowners insurance, life insurance, health insurance, whatever insurance they were paying. So that was 8% of their monthly income, okay? 45%, which was $2,882, was going towards debt. That would be mortgage, credit card, student loan. So 45%, right? 22% was going to taxes. 18% was going to living expenses, groceries, stuff you need, right? Living in, okay. And then 7% was going to savings, right? So when we take those numbers and we put it in a pie chart, it makes it a little bit more graphic, right? So if you see the pie chart there, you see the biggest part is red, and the second to largest is blue. So the biggest part, 45%, was debt, and 22% was taxes. Everything else was small. Now, it's funny, the big part was debt in this particular case, and the smallest part was savings. Would you agree that the average family, that's probably, the numbers would be different, but the percentages are probably the same? Does that make sense? Okay, so obviously, so if you saw this pie chart and we asked you, okay, which piece of the pie do you think should be smaller, and which piece of the pie you think should be bigger? Most people are going to say, yo, we got to bring that red slice a little smaller, and that mustard color, we try to, right? So if you could reduce your debt to 40% and increase your savings from 7 to 12%, that would be a good thing, right? But a lot of us won't make that decision unless it's visual, okay? If I were to ask you, what's your net worth? Do you know what your net worth is? So what is your net worth? Your net worth is everything you own minus everything you owe is your net worth. Some of you might have, you know, you ever see millionaires file for bankruptcy? It's not because they're millionaires. It's not because they don't have any money. It's because they owe more than what they got. And the amount is so insurmountable that they say, you know what? I'm filing for bankruptcy because I'll never be able to pay that. Okay. So it's not just people with a little bit of money, right? It's also people with a lot of money. You have corporations that file for bankruptcy. There's some states that are bankrupt, but it's illegal for a state to file bankruptcy. Okay. Thank God it's illegal. Imagine you getting your pension from the state and they declare bankruptcy. Say, sorry, Afia, no pension, we're bankrupt. That's one of the reasons why they don't allow states to go bankrupt, because there's a lot of, you know, it would avoid them from, okay? Don't get scared. It's not going to happen unless, okay? But that's why states are not allowed to declare bankruptcy, okay? So in this particular case, they had $55,000 in their retirement assets. They had $36,000 in their non-retirement assets. They had some cash value policies, $4,200. Okay. And they had their home, the market value, obviously, this is probably somewhere old in Alabama or something. $157,000 is the home market value. Obviously, this is older, not in the Northeast. Okay, so their assets total 252,000. Okay, but now on the liability side, they still have the mortgage at 145. That red part of the pie, which is the debt, was at 43,000. Okay, so their assets are 252. Their total liabilities are 188. So in this particular case, when this couple got their report card, their net worth was $63,000 in the green. So at least they're on a positive. Okay. So everybody needs to know this, right? You need to know where you're at. So for you to have a plan, you need to know where you're at so we can help you get to where you want to go. Does that make sense? All right. So we call it a snapshot because I was kidding with the girls earlier. When you see this, you say, "Oh, snap," because it's a rude awakening. Now, once I've had a few clients that were pleasantly surprised when we did it. Okay, but in most cases, it was like, "Oh, snap! I gotta change something." Okay, so I strongly recommend this. Okay, so let's go to the other slide that shows CFP. Okay, now some of you have heard of certified financial planners. These are people who take a certified financial planner course, and what they do is they do these plans for you for a fee. Okay, I Googled this. Okay, I said, okay, what is the average cost of a CFP? CFP stands for Certified Financial Planners. There's people who go and they take a course and they get a certificate certifying them. Okay, some of them are licensed, some of them are not, but they're a financial planner. Okay, so the cost will vary by service, but it's usually $1,000 to $3,000 is the typical financial plan. What you get for a fee, it's comprehensive financial plan guidance on how to follow it, but no ongoing service or investment management. So in other words, they're just going to give you a plan and say, okay, go get an advisor or go to somebody that can help you implement the plan. Is that okay? So that's basically what they do. They say, here's your plan. They'll charge you a fee. They'll give it to you in a nice binder. Okay. And unfortunately, a lot of people pay a lot of money for the plan. And because there's no follow-up, they never institute the plan. You follow? So we suggest if you go to the doctor and you get a prescription, it's not going to help you unless you fill that prescription and if they tell you foods to not, right? Okay. So why am I saying that? Okay. A lot of people, obviously, there's other things that you could do with that money. You could put that $3,000 in a mutual fund and let that grow. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we can help you put a plan together. Okay, we have the software available. Okay, and for those of you who are listening with us, okay, contact Afia, contact SHIRLEY, and we can do that. Okay, we can either do that via Zoom, or if you wanted to pop by our office, I have an office in Midtown on 7th Avenue. If you wanted to pop by, we can help you do that. Okay, and there's no fee. There's no strings attached. Okay, now. Why do we do this? Okay, first of all, because most people, call up 10 of your friends and ask them, do you have a written financial plan? Most people don't have it. Okay, and we know that if we do 10 or 15 of these, 1 or 2 will probably, right, because we'll want to implement something and they'll become a client, but nobody's obligated. Okay, but this is a great tool because you need to know where you stand and how to get. Does that make sense? So if you're listening to us, there's no reason why you shouldn't have a plan now. There's no reason why you shouldn't take action to get something done. Okay, we have the software to get it. We can do it for you. We've done a lot of these already. Okay, and it's beneficial. Okay, I do these for my clients. We usually do an update every year, right? Because things change. People change jobs. People get married. People get divorced. People buy houses. People sell houses. So obviously, you know, if you get one done, you should, just like you get your taxes done every year, you should, you know, take your original plan and say, this is the same. This is the same. Obviously, if you're contributing, the balances will be different, and you know if you're on pace. Okay, so one of the thing is this is one of there's two numbers that you should need to know that the analysis will let you know once you complete it. One is your FIN number. What's your financial independence number? Okay, we all know now, and if you don't, you should. Retirement is not an age, is a number. Okay, if you reach retirement age but you don't have enough money to retire, you can't retire. Okay, but so you could retire at 50, you could retire at 80. I know people that have never retired, right? Those of us who go outside the city, you know, you usually the guy that greets me at Walmart should be retired. Usually the person that I see cleaning tables at fast food restaurants should be retired. Okay, I don't think they say, I've been waiting all my life to greet people at Walmart. Okay, I think these people are doing it because they literally, you know, through whatever, they didn't plan properly, so they have to supplement their retirement. Don't let yourself. Okay, so if you know somebody else, listen, that you know, let them, you know, contact Shirley, contact Afia. We can make that happen to you. You know, that's probably the most important thing. I think this is just as important as getting your taxes done, right? Because you need a plan. Like I said, nobody retires financially okay without a plan. Okay, so enough of that. All right, so let me just go on something, because one of the things that I've, in all my years experience, one of the things that I find out is that most people are not on target to retire okay, right? No surprise to that, right? So what do we do? Okay, if your report card doesn't come out right, you know how the teacher would put needs improvement, you know, needs improvement on getting out of debt, needs improvement on reallocating their 401k. Okay, so another number is, you can actually, if you have a lot of credit card debt, you can actually find out what your debt freedom date is. Because there is a debt freedom date, you just don't know about it because you don't have a plan. So let's just say you have X amount of debt. We're going to say, okay, how much are you paying? How much are you paying towards this debt? We can actually put it in the calculator and say, okay, if you keep paying these credit cards the way you're paying them now, it's going to take you 18 years. If you add $150 a month to doing this, it goes from 18 to 7 years. What do you want to do? Right? Because we'll tell you, you add this, this is how much years it takes away. Okay? So you want to know what your financial independence number is, and you want to know what your debt freedom number is. And there's a software program that'll help, that we can help you to show you that. If you know, if credit card is not a problem, that's okay. A lot of times, even in your statement, it tells you, like, if you make the minimum payment, it takes you 12 years. If you add this, it'll tell you on your credit card statement, because they passed the law making them do that. But what happens is, if you have 4 or 5 different credit cards, you know, most of the time you don't read the bill because it's online. So the minimum payment is $25. So you send them $35. So you make yourself feel good, and the debt never goes away. Okay, so we just got to stop these little denials and say, okay, let me get a financial needs analysis and let me right. Okay, so when you're sick, when I'm sick, I don't ask my neighbor, hey, listen, I feel this way, what do you think I should do? I don't ask my wife. I love my wife, but I'm not, if I feel sick, I'm going to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? My father was a pastor. If I needed spiritual advice, I went to him. But I wasn't going to ask Dad, what do you think I should do with my 401k? Because he didn't have one. So you got to be careful on who you're getting information from, okay, when it comes to your finances, okay? But one of the things I'm finding out is that most people don't make enough money to hit their goals. So what do? You either got to change your goals or you got to find a way to make more money, okay? In whatever business you do, whatever. So let's look at this next slide, and we'll wrap up this, and we'll do a little bit of Q&A. Okay, a lot of you might have seen this. Okay, Mr. Kiyosaki, you've heard of him. He does a lot of podcasting. He wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and you know, he talked about his rich dad and how he lived, and he talked about his poor dad and the things that he did. And basically, you know, in this country, this is how you make money legally. Okay, right? So we're in one of these boxes, or maybe 7, right? So we know that on the left side, you have employees, right? You have a job, and your income is based on your position, right? Not the person. You follow? So if me and Afia, okay, could have the same job, and she does her job 10 times better than I do, she's not going to make 10 times more because she's an employee. Does that make sense? Because they pay the position, not the person. You see more and more people becoming self-employed. You know, dentists, doctors, lawyers, hairstylists, real estate agents. Okay? So these people have the opportunity to make more money because if me and Afia are real estate agents and she does 10 times more business than I do, she makes 10 times more because as self-employed, you get paid based on the business you do. Does that make sense? Okay. So a lot of people are going into things like that, becoming self-employed. Now, there's a flip side of that. If you're self-employed, right, you got to fund your own retirement plan. You got to get your own health insurance in some cases. Okay. And if you go away for 2 weeks and you're self-employed, then you're not making no money for 2 weeks. You know, one of the barbers where I go, he got in a motorcycle accident and he couldn't work for 3 months. So he had no income for 3 months because he was self-employed. So you could be self-employed and you could also be self-unemployed too. Because if you can't work, then you don't make no money. Does that make sense? Then you have, all right, so these are the ways people in this country make money. You have business owners, right? Owns a system, okay, have others working for them. So let's just take a barber, right? And he decides to open up his own barbershop. He rents a place, and now he's renting out chairs to other barbers. You know, he might expand to have somebody doing nails, doing braiding. So now his income is not just based on his own clients, but now his income is based, okay, on his business. So his income is now leveraged, okay? And then, of course, you have the ultimate, which is the investor, okay? Which is going to be me. When I win this, how much is the latest lottery? Right? Did anybody hit that? Right? You hit, so because I say you hit the lottery, right? You can skip employee, you can skip self-employed, you can skip business, and you can go right to investor, right?
That's right.
So in the morning, what you do is you get up, you make a cup of coffee, and you wave your money to work. Go to work, money, right? The best thing, money is the best employee you can have because money doesn't go on vacation, money doesn't call in sick, money doesn't give you attitude. Money just goes to work, and it goes to work. So obviously, all right. So if I were to ask you, would you rather be on the left side or the right side? Would you agree? Most people say I'd rather be on the right side. Okay, but the reality is most of us are on the left side. Okay, so you have to think: what industry are you in? How do I think out of the box? You know, how do I, how can I, all right? So you have more and more people doing real estate part-time. So you have school teachers that go out and get their real estate license. They do it part-time during the school year. During the summer months, they sell homes. You know, you have people, people are creating a side hustle. You know, you have people that are doing computer work, you know, doing web designs on the side. Okay, so think about what you can do, okay, in your line of work, or if it's not in your line of work, you know, what do you think you could be good at in the future? Okay, I mean, I came from a financial background. I told you guys I worked for a company for 20 years. The company went bankrupt, so I lost my job and I lost my retirement plan on the same day. And that day I said, you know what? You know, I don't think I would want to work for a company again. Okay. But I didn't have the means, or I didn't have the know-how. So I stayed working as an employee. Okay. But then what I did is I started getting all my licenses. I got my investment license. I got my insurance license. I got my license to do managed accounts. I got my license to do annuities. Okay. I got my principal license. So a principal license is like becoming a broker, which allowed me to train other people. So I was so now, right, 80% of my income was coming from my employer, but then I was self-employed. 20% of my income was coming from being self-employed in the financial arena. Now, it doesn't have to be in the financial arena for you, but it could be somewhere else. Okay. So when I got my principal license, similar to real estate, I said, well, you know what? I can start training other agents, help them get their license and help them, you know. So I started my own little part-time financial agency. Okay. So now 60% of my income was coming from my job. 20% was coming from self-employed. And then 20% was coming from that little business agency that I set up. You see? So you could do it gradually. The way I did it in the financial business, you could do it in maybe another business. Okay. Fast forward now. Okay. Like right now, about a third of my income comes from what I do personally with my clients. A third of my income comes from the agency that I've developed over the years. Okay. And a third of it comes from the investments. So if I get a third from self-employed, a third and third, that means employee. Now that's zero. I was able to gradually transition away from a 9 to 5. Okay. So you don't, so if you hit lottery, you can go right to the blue. But the reality is most of us ain't hitting the lottery.
I'm saying
most of us are still unemployed. So what are you going to do? Okay. So imagine this. I do a financial plan for you, right? And I say, Afia.
Yes.
You need to make $400 a month more for you to hit your goal, right? And then Afia, what do you think will happen if Afia goes to her job tomorrow and tells her boss, hey, I sat down with my financial planner last night and he said that I need to make $400 a month more. What do you think the boss is going to say? Right?
Find another job.
The boss will probably say, I could use an extra $400 myself. Go back to your desk and go back to work. Right?
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that's probably not going to happen. But maybe you might have to switch jobs to get, okay. So, you know, I don't know. I could only show you how to do this in the financial business like I did, but this is not the only way.
Right.
You can do it maybe in real estate. You could do it maybe in web design. You could do it in music. I don't know. Because I know my industry. You know your industry. You might be a school teacher and you might start tutoring. Okay. And down the road, you might just open up a tutor business and hire other part-time teachers and hire them to tutor. Okay. So think about it. What can I do outside the box? So, but first of all, you got to get a plan done and see, hey, you know, this is what's my shortfall. Most of us will have a shortfall. Okay. So how do I make up that? Okay. Like I said, the same way I did it you know, so if you like numbers and you like accounting and you like, you know, this might, okay, you could take a class course, and during the tax season, go work for H&R Block. I have one of the guys that's gonna speak. He worked many years for NYCHA. He worked every year for H&R Block. Then he started teaching taxes for H&R Block. Now he retired from NYCHA and he started his own tax business. So that, so like I said, I could only tell you how I did it. So if you want to know how I could work with you here, but this might not be your forte, this might not be something that interests you. I like the financial services because I like helping people. I think it's needed, especially in the African American community, especially in the Hispanic community, because as bad as things are in this country, okay, the average African American family is worse off than and then below that is the average Hispanic. So we're not doing as well. So we got to educate ourselves. And Wall Street is not going to do these. Wall Street is not going to call up Shirley and say, "Hey, can we do this next week for you?" That it's not going to happen. Okay, they're not going to open up branches in our neighborhoods. No. They're not going to do that. I mean, I go up and down the city, and all I see is what? Financial services. They have the audacity to put financial services, and all they do is your check and charge you money to cash your own check. Mm-hmm. Those are kind of predatory companies that are working in our neighborhood. So let me just relax. I'm getting upset now because I hate us to be taken advantage, and that's why we're doing this.
Right. That's right.
That's why we're doing this, because if we don't take control, okay, then who is? Okay, so I'm gonna just take a pause. So listen, get a plan, find out how much extra you need to hit the goal. Find out, listen, how can I make income outside of what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. Look, it's right above it. Have a money mindset. We think about a lot of things. And listen, money is not the end of, it's not everything, okay? But it's a tool that we need.
That's right.
Right? Unfortunately, a lot of, money makes bad people worse, good people better. Most of us are good people, so not only can we help ourselves, but we can help others. Okay, so some of you might be my age and you might say it's too late. Well, call your nephews, call your grandkids. Say, listen, you need this information. Don't make the same mistakes that I did. Listen to these things. Call Shirley, call Afia. Get your hands on one of these things, okay? That we're willing to do. So I'm gonna pause here for a second, and turn it over back to Sheila.
Shirley, all right,
Shirley, I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah, I'm saying it's all right. Great job, man. That was awesome. Awesome information as always. Yes.
You rock every time.
Every single time. Every single time. Don't miss a beat.
So, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. As usual, I do have a question because I do have somebody who's listening, but they're driving, so they cannot watch it because they're driving. Okay. But this person is in a lot of debt as far as credit card debt, some medical bills, some debt from repossessions, and they want to know, in this situation, is it better to just declare bankruptcy and get a fresh start? Because they're way
it depends on the numbers. In some cases, in some cases it makes sense. In some cases it doesn't. I know people that is just the amount is unsurmountable, and their credit is shot anyway. So they say, you know what? Let me bite the bullet, and just be aware that some debt is forgiven and some debt is not. So I would seek counsel from a bankruptcy attorney if that's an option. It's some of it, listen, as there's two ways of thinking about it. Okay. Mm-hmm. As a Christian, I feel we should pay off our debt. okay? Because the Bible says pay your debt off. But in this, sometimes things happen so unfairly. Sometimes things happen, and then some of these institutions, they lure you in, and a lot of people that owe money, the majority of it is penalties and late fees. It's you know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden you have a credit card and you miss a payment, you get hit with a late fee. And if you and if you were maxed out, you get hit with a late fee and then an over the limit fee, and then they're hitting you with that every month. So every month you get a late fee over the limit, late fee over the limit. And all of a sudden $1,000 credit card becomes an $8,000 debt. And I feel that's unfair.
Yeah.
So if it's beyond your control and it's a viable option, lesson learned, just let it. I know people that have done it, but they've done it maliciously. It's like, I'm just gonna run up everything and then just, declare bankruptcy, and they had a good time. They go on a cruise and they gotta, and they wait it out and then they run it up again, and it's like a pattern with them. Wow. But they will never be financially secure, right. But if sometimes it's medical bills, sometimes it's you lost your job for a while. There's legitimate reason. I'm not saying that everybody who has large debt, it's sometimes it happens beyond their control. But if it's overwhelming, sometimes just to have peace of mind,
right.
And if it's good enough for Donald Trump, it's good enough for us.
Okay. Afia, there's a question here you can read.
Sure. This is from Kervin. Is investment with assessing gold bars worthwhile?
Listen, it's gold is a viable investment. It's a hard asset. So a lot of people like the fact that it's tangible. The value goes up and down. Usually when the market is not doing well, gold seems to go up. It's kind of a little safety net. So I don't think it's a bad part. I don't think it's a bad part of your portfolio because it is more conservative. I don't think, personally, I don't think more than 20% of your assets should be in gold, but I think it's a good piece to have as part of your portfolio. To be honest, I'm thinking about it myself. As you get older and you have different pieces, I say, you know what, now there's some where you actually get the gold delivered to your house. And then there's some where it's a certificate, kind of like a mutual fund, because some people want to get involved in commodities, but don't want to do it so that they buy into like a gold fund. But I think it's the same way the stock market hit all-time highs, the price of gold. I mean, years ago, gold was what? $1,000 an ounce. Is over 2,000. I believe the last time I checked, is over $2,000 an ounce. So it's not as volatile, but that's a good option. That's a good option. I don't think, personally, I don't think more than 20% of your retirement assets. And there's somewhere you could even put gold in a 401k. But in that case, I don't think you could physically have it. I think it has to be on deposit somewhere.
Okay.
I think we just had a freezing moment. I did it, actually.
Come with your questions, guys. Come with your questions.
I have another question. This came through text. This is about a power of attorney. Their mom is in a nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
And this person is the power of attorney over their mom because she can't make her own decisions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other family members that are trying to get to her mom's information, records, everything within their nursing home. Can they do anything? Like, can they sue them for not releasing records, or can they can they do anything? These other family members, can they do anything not being the power of attorney?
Well, power of attorney is, oh man, and you know, I don't want to get into, I'm not a lawyer, but power of attorney, okay, it depends, you know, because there's a couple of different types. Power of attorney usually means that that person, okay, can act on behalf of the parents, okay, or the mom in this particular case. So as far as banking, as far as anything, okay.
Right.
Now, power of attorney, and I'm trying to remember what and this person I think it was last week that we went over a lot of these things. So this person that asked you, tell her to review the previous, because remember we went through a list of certain things that people should have, okay? Because power of attorney has a lot to do more with the financial stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's also what's called a medical proxy. Now, a medical proxy is that you could assign somebody to make medical decisions in the event that you can't make them for yourself. You get dementia, or you know, you're under anesthesia and something happens and somebody has to make, so you don't have the capacity. So that's okay. Now, now what you're talking now goes a little bit into HIPAA, which is like the Privacy Act. Okay. So I'm not 100%, you know, let's just say, for example, my sister is medical proxy and she's you know, power of attorney, right? Now, from what you're saying is like, if I go visit my mom in the hospital and I want to ask the doctor questions about my mother's health, I think I'm entitled to ask that, and I think the doctors are okay as long as I can prove that I'm a child. Not that I'm making. So as far as me asking for information, you know, I can do that. Okay. But I can't make any decisions on her care because I'm not medical proxy. I can't go to the bank and say, listen, I want to take, because I'm not power of attorney.
Right.
You follow? So I think you're allowed to I think the hospital or the nursing home is allowed to give out some medical information, but no decision as to her care can be made other than whoever is medical proxy.
Okay.
And there can be more than one medical proxy.
Okay.
You know, me and my sister were both, because I lived in New York. My sister lived in South Jersey, and my mom lived in New York when she was alive. So, but we both were medical proxy, because if I'm in vacation, you know, I'm closer. But if I'm in vacation for 2 weeks and God forbid something happens, then my sister could come in and, you know. So I hope that helps. But when it comes to power of attorney, that has more weight. And when it comes to medical proxy, if you're not medical proxy, you can't make a decision, but you can inquire. I want to know what's going on with my mom. You know, what's treatment? Yeah,
but treatment, but they can't touch her financial. They can't like get that financial information.
No, because remember, power of attorney has to do with finance, and then HIPAA has to do with privacy. Who has access and who doesn't?
Okay. That finance,
Okay, yeah, that's the finance.
That was that.
Right. Question for you.
So we have a next one. Do power of attorney rights and restrictions with stipulations vary from state to state?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think they do, because there's, you know, each state, when it comes to that, the laws are different. So my gut, you know, and it probably would go, and it will probably be subject to the state in which they reside. You know, but that's a legal question that I won't want to, because let's just say, for example, I live in New York and I'm power of attorney of, okay, and we moved to New Jersey. You know, I'm assuming that because the power of attorney was written, okay, in New York, that's the legal and binding document, okay.
Right.
Now, if we both move to New Jersey and things change and we have to adjust it, then we have to. But I'm pretty sure that one state will honor a power of attorney of something that was written. So I think they vary when they're initiated. You follow? So if you get something in New Jersey, it might be a little different than if you got it in New York. But if you got it in New York and something happened in New Jersey, I think they would honor that. But you know, that's
Okay.
Okay.
So we have from Earl James. I'm familiar with Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. But that cash flow quadrant, it seems very valuable. I heard you mention side hustle, but I'm not knowledgeable about money and finances.
well, that's why you know, whether you have a side hustle or not, you need a plan. You know what I'm saying? So if let's say you have you get your financial needs analysis done, right? And then you start a side hustle, and so now you're just because you're making more money doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be financially better off, because a lot of people make more money and if they're not doing what they need to do, they, you know, they won't hit the goals they want. So if you get a financial needs analysis done, right, and then you get a side hustle and now you're starting to generate income, you got to update the financial needs analysis and say, okay, this extra money that I'm making, you know, where could I put that? Do I use it to reduce debt? Do I use it to increase my Roth IRA? Okay, so I mean, that's a good question in the sense is that just because you're making more money doesn't make you more, you know, if you don't have a plan, it's not going to help, you know, it's not going to help you the way it should.
Yeah.
You follow? So regardless, you know, we have, I mean, I have clients in all kind of industries. It just, you know, and everybody needs a plan. You know, everybody can make money, but how to manage it is some of us do better off. So you're gonna have people that make a lot of money and don't retire as well as people who make less money, because it's not how much you make, it's how much you save. So we have to, you know, you'd be surprised. Most I was reading a book. Most millionaires were created by people that worked and put a good amount in their 401ks. Most millionaires in this country did not inherit the money.
Interesting.
Most of them just worked a long time and saved for a long time. You know, right. I was talking with a client today. She's 52 years old. She's been saving a lot of money since she was single. Now she's married. She's a homeowner. She has a child, and she's got about 400,000 or with me, because she's always save while she was single. And I don't know what she has in her job. She got a good job at a bank, so I'm assuming she's probably got at least that. So she called me because she says most of her money is in an IRA, but she's been saving a lot of money in mutual funds outside an IRA where you pay taxes a little bit every year. Okay. Right. So she says, I got to do a major renovation. I need 130,000. Should I take a home equity loan? Can you take a look at my accounts? I took a look at her accounts. She has $176,000 outside of her IRA. So she can literally do that home improvement,
right,
and pay very little taxes, because because it's not an IRA, she's paying taxes on the dividends and capital gains every year. So she's paying a little bit every year. So she thinks that because she's going to take that money out, she's going to have to pay a lot of taxes. And I says, no, it's not in an IRA.
Right. Nice. Nice.
So she went from thinking about getting a loan to being in the position to pay it cash, only because when she was in her 20s, she just saved a lot of money, and she makes good money. But she could I'm pretty sure between the value of her home and her investment, she's a millionaire. You would see her at Walmart, right?
Right.
Years ago, they wrote a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and they asked the question, what kind of car do you drive? And the car most named by millionaires, this was maybe 20 years ago when they wrote the book, was a Ford Taurus.
Oh. Wow, nothing flashy. Wow.
that was the most, out of all of them, that was the most.
Right.
Okay. And so it's just save and stay out of debt.
That's it.
And some, you could be 50, 60 years old and listening today and say it's too late. No, it's never too late. You could have you could always have a little bit more than what you started with.
That's right.
I tell people, look, the stock market is doing a good run, but let's be careful. Let me give you two terms that you hear a lot on TV. If you're investing in a 401k, you're going to hear a term called market correction. Okay. If you ever hear the term market corrections, that means that the market is down 10%. That's what it means. When you might hear, oh, it's approaching correction territory. If they say that, that means the market is about down 8%. Now, you also hear the bear market. Okay. Bear market means the market is down 20%. You don't hear that term too often, but you hear it. And usually we hit a bear market like twice every 5 years, historically. Right. So if you have money and you hear correct, so this way you kind of have an idea when you hear these terms. If you hear bear market, it's like, okay, maybe I should take a look a little bit what's going on. If you're in there for long term, you probably don't need to do anything. But if you're 1 or 2 years away from retiring and it's a bear market and you're heavily into stocks, maybe you should take a look at it. So these are just, I'm trying to, you hear all these terms and sometimes you don't know. So I figured I'd give you those two so it could kind of put things in perspective a little bit.
Thanks.
All right. Any more questions? Let's see. Okay, we had a good amount on YouTube tonight.
All right.
On Facebook. Of course, everybody's going to watch the replays.
Yes. Be sure to send the replays out.
Yes.
This is valuable.
I think we're good with questions tonight. Let me see. Okay, we've been on for 1 hour and 23 minutes. I think that's a good night right there.
Wow.
Well, listen, I encourage you again to go back. Next one, we're gonna talk about debt stacking. So a lot of people that have all these moving credit cards, we're going to show you a little bit more specific on how exactly you can approach that. Okay.
Nice.
And heavy road, negative equity upside down is horrible.
Yes. That's what created the real estate bubble. Everybody kept refinancing. Listen, when it comes to your mortgage, most people ask the wrong question. Most people ask, what's the interest rate and what's my monthly payment?
Yes. What should we ask?
You should be asking, what's the total cost of this loan? Yeah. That's what you spend. Because what happens is let's say you're 15 years into your mortgage, right? And you're paying, let's say 6%, and somebody will tell you, hey, I can give you 4%, and instead of you paying $2,000 a month,
right,
you're gonna pay $1,600 a month. Okay. And so we're gonna save you $400 a month, Shirley. How does that find? That's $4,800 a year more in your pocket. How does that sound?
Nice.
Sounds good, right? Because you're looking
Yeah.
at interest rate and you're looking at monthly payment. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you that you're starting the 30 years again. It's a new 30-year mortgage. So you got a lower rate, your monthly expense is lower, but you're gonna have to pay it over a longer period of time.
Yes.
So when you're so you want to say, okay, what's the total cost? Total cost means how many years, because you went from 15 to 30. You want to go from 30 to 15. So if you're going to refinance and you got 15 years less, refinance for 15 years. Don't add more years, because you add more years, that's more payments. So
no bueno.
Okay, I think that's enough for today, right? I'm sorry to get so you're working.
You worked hard tonight. You worked hard tonight, and you did.
Yes, amazing.
Listen, whoever's listening, seriously, don't say, "Wow, these are nice ideas," or "Wow, blah, blah, blah." Don't procrastinate.
Yes.
Get a financial needs analysis done. We're offering it for free.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why you shouldn't get one done. Some depending on, in some situations it might be quick. It might not be a lot of moving parts. Some of you might have a lot of moving parts. You know what I'm saying? Some of you have a short form tax return, and some of you got to do the long form because you got a lot of stuff going on. Same thing with an FNA. It might not take that long for you. We might be able to do a quick one, but you might have in some cases it's a husband and wife, and there's two incomes, and there's a mortgage, and there's car payments, and there's debt, and there's student loan. So that might be a little bit more complicated. That might take a little bit more work. Okay. And some of it might just be a half-hour conversation. Okay, how much do you make? What's going in your 401k? What's your credit card debt? Blah, blah, blah. Let's put it in. The same way you have short forms and long forms in taxes, you have short forms and long forms when it comes to a financial needs analysis, but there's no reason why you shouldn't get one. So, contact Shirley, contact Afia. We can make that happen to you. Because right now we're just we're just playing Monopoly.
Right.
That's what we're doing right now. That sounds good. And that sounds okay.
Yeah.
So you could continue to play Monopoly, or you could say, you know what, let's
get down to
it. Let's get serious.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So Afia is waiting for all of your emails and texts.
Don't call me, call her.
Yeah, everybody's around Afia. Contact Afia.
Yeah, put it in the subject. Outreach ministry.
Yes.
Ministry. So
she is ready, willing, and
able. Podcast. Yeah. Or text me. That's even easier.
Or text her. So all those who watch the replay, you have any questions, want to sit down with either one, contact Afia. She is the one to contact.
Listen. If there's any Met fans listening, please pray for the Mets. They not only lost today, they lost 2 games today.
Oh,
so pray, pray for the Met fans. They're
my brother Tom on here. Tom, you listening? He's in New York all the way.
Okay.
Great. Contact me. I'm ready. We're ready. That's right. Let's get this going.
Right. If you contact me, I'm giving you to Afia. Okay.
Yes. She will. Y'all already know her already.
Yes. But I want to thank again, Ed. Awesome job tonight again. Afia, thank you also. And everybody who has tuned in on tonight, thank you for tuning in. And I cannot stress enough, if this is your first night on with us, make sure you go back and watch weeks 1 and 2. Full of information. And then watch the replay again for this one. And whatever you do, just please share. Share on your page. You can share the links, email them. Just make sure the word is out to others. If you know that
I'm sorry, if there's something we haven't covered that has to do with finances, we're not marriage counselors or but,
No.
Anything we can help with your finance.
Yes. So let's just share and let's get the word out.
That's
This
right.
is information, like Mr. Sanchez said, this is free information. So
Free 99.
what $3.99? You say
Free.
$3.99. You heard her. That's your contact girl right there, Afia.
Right. Come on, guys. This is great.
Okay. So we are going to sign off on tonight. We thank everyone for joining us again. And as I always say, I love you, but God loves you best. Have a good night, and we will see you possibly next week. Stay tuned for the next one. And if you have any questions, if you have any topics you want us to discuss, you can send that to me. You can, and then I will forward it to. I will forward it to Afia. Okay, and she'll forward it to it. Okay, so everyone have a good night. Signing off.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Yes, everyone.